Welcome back, everybody. I'm Matt. This is Flatland Relics. And for the next 10 minutes, you're going to watch me battle a bell housing and lose. Very often in this shop world of making things out of parts and adding parts that are aftermarket and everything else, you're going to run into issues where things don't work out as planned. I've hit quite a few of them, and this short 10-minute segment is proof that it doesn't always work out like you think it's gonna. Now watch very, very closely as I whoop. Oh, yeah, that's how you ruin a dial indicator. I checked it, plunger was stuck, so we went for a ride after that. Had to cool off a little bit after that, because that definitely made me angry. So, back at it. Like I said, if you think this video is going to go good, trust me, it's not. I've been fighting this total runout ordeal for, I don't know, I think 5 or 6 weeks now. It's not like I'm out there every day, over the course of time. And it's been a hiccup every step of the way. I've had problems from reading the dial indicator correctly to getting like misreads, and here I'm actually doing everything wrong. I don't have my flywheel on because I couldn't get the dial indicator to fit with the flywheel because this Lakewood bell housing is really tight towards the back where my hands are. So that was an issue. That eventually gets fixed, but not in this first segment. What else? I'm also putting the dial indicator towards the center of the crank, which is what you're not supposed to do. It's supposed to be on the flywheel, and it's supposed to be off to the side. And that's on purpose. That's how you're supposed to set it. But I hadn't learned that yet. I was just kind of winging this. I thought I had it down, and man, I think I put 3 different sets of dowels in here and got it wrong every time. So, enjoy. Watch me do it all wrong, and then hopefully, I don't know, hopefully somebody learns from this. There's probably 100 different videos on YouTube for how to do this. I'm just making one because it's part of the process. I'm definitely not even good at using one of these or doing this run out ordeal. It actually stopped me for a couple weeks. Every time I would get the wrong set in and I would do another reading, and it would be worse than when I started, and then I would spin the dowels and it would still be worse than when I started. I realized I was doing something terribly wrong. So I did consult with some local folks and some builders and called the machine shop, and interestingly enough, everybody has a different opinion as to whether or not you really even need to do this. So I'm running a 1968 A833 4-speed on the back of an early 70s 318, the LA block. I'm not sure this is even necessary for what I'm doing, but I'm trying to do it because quite a few folks have said, hey, this is really important because your drive line needs to be, in a straight line. And I understand that. It's a lot of moving parts. My whole issue with it is that the 68 4-speed, it doesn't have incredibly tight tolerances. A lot of stuff has slop in it. When I rebuilt it, even with brand new pins and everything, stuff still has a decent amount of slop. So, I don't know. I still want to try and get this correct. It just, it was a rough run. And if you think you're just going to jump in here and it's all going to make sense and everything's going to magically work out, trust me, there's going to be bumps in the road no matter what. And dealing with this was great because it's something that I had to persevere through. And I'm not going to lie, I had a very difficult time doing that. Oh, yeah. I had to actually clean out the car. The car has become a storage bin. Of course, like any good red-blooded American, I load up all the stuff I'm not going to use in the car that I'm trying to build. Because that's the smart way to do it, right? Right. The red cab behind it for the Power Wagon, that's got the entire floor covered in odds and ends, and actually it's stuff from the car build in there too. So some random parts, check out. And see, I lean the floor against the car. I'll be cutting some pieces out of that. There's one of the side skirts for the hood. I have quite a few of them. Excuse me. However, I think they're all dented in one way or another, of course. But yeah, I just thought it was a good idea to get everything out of there. Got to do the steering stuff soon. But hey, here's the dashboard. Here's what you got in 1940 from the factory. Pretty nice. There's the original Dodge sticker in there. Try and keep that. There's front end. Oh, the axle's gotten pretty rusty over time. I'm going to have to get down there and sand that. That's going to need some paint or some clear coat. Here's a set of dowel pins that I got. Offsets. I believe they're 14s. And, oh, yep, there it is, 14. And here you will see me try and set them over the next couple minutes, and it just doesn't seem to work out like it's supposed to. I will say for doing this, I don't tighten the bell housing bolts to torque. I just snug them up real good, and then get all of them in there so you know you're lined up the way it's going to sit. And when you put the offset dowels in, you'll notice those bolts, they don't go back in as nicely as you want them to. So you'll know when you set those offset dowels. I like to find the high spot on each dowel and then mark it, because you're not going to notice that when you're trying to install them. So definitely do that before you try and set them. That way you can put them in the right direction for the offset. Or you can be like me and not even figure out how to do that. Here you can see I got my new dial indicator in. That first one was trash from the fall. Again, I'm still setting this up incorrectly. I did not learn the error of my ways until after this segment that I filmed. But I'm posting it because it's part of the process of me learning how to do this. I'm not embarrassed that I made a mistake. It's just, if you don't know how to do something, you don't know how to do it until you figure out how to do it. It's that simple. So, I will say the most angry I've been in the past 6 months of my life is definitely trying to set this thing. A lot of curse words were yelled, and obviously I didn't learn my lesson because I put the new dial indicator right back on my lap, which is not the right way to do that. You should put it on your workbench so it doesn't fall. So I thought I was really up to something good here, and after installing the pins, putting the bell housing back on, I realized I had made it worse. I even went as far as rotating the pins a little bit, and then I just started getting really bad reads. Yeah, so this is the end of the segment where I do everything wrong. Thanks for hanging in there. Whoa, what is that? Oh, that's a primed and painted 318 LA. I used the VHT paint. It's got it at AutoZone. And I realized something when I learned more about this runout with the bell housing. I realized I had to get the engine painted. That way I could put the flywheel on. That way I could measure the runout off the flywheel like I'm supposed to, with the flywheel on permanently. So all that being said, I had the prime and paint and get ready to start actually building this so it stays built. It took quite a bit to mask all this off, but I think it was worth it. Looks pretty good all painted up. I picked the cast aluminum color. It was just some off-the-shelf paint, and it matches the heads and the bell housing, so I think it'll look kind of cool. In doing this, I did realize that I painted my transmission with regular gloss spray paint, so that might become an issue later on. It might peel or not do so good. But this is good high heat paint on the engine block, so this should work out good.
In the case of nuclear or radiological fallout,
where the flywheel is going to sit touching the backside of the crank, I'm adding a very small light film of anti-seize. That way that will pop off later if need be. I do feel like painting was a good step forward. It was a step in the right direction. Let's get this flywheel put on. Let's get it torqued to spec, get everything marked, and get ready to go. These flywheels, the bolt pattern's weird. There's like a couple close bolts and then some that are a little further apart from each other. So you got to find that pattern on the back of the crank. It won't line up. No matter what you do, you won't get it first try. Like here's me trying to calculate which two are the closest two together, and it's just, you just got to put it on there and kind of spin it around so you line all the bolt holes up. I thought I had it. I thought I was going to be Mr. Slick and get it first shot, and I did not. Just using a dab of blue thread locker on each of these flywheel bolts. Over the past month or two, I got myself a nice click-type torque wrench. I like it. Works good. I'll be using that on these. I believe these are 55 foot-pounds. And you'll see I'm switching two of the bolts. One of them wasn't running in very nicely, so I just tried it in a different hole, and it seemed to work fine. One of the issues I do have while torquing these down is one of them never hits torque. Never gets there. So rather than snap a bolt or ruin threads in the back of my crank, I just let it go. It was close enough. It was definitely tight. One of them just doesn't click. Oh well. Here you can see the engine starts to turn while I'm trying to get the torque back. That's not what I want. So I had to figure out another way to do this. No big deal, you just kind of have to hold the flywheel with one hand and turn the torque wrench with the other hand. So here I'm just cleaning off the surface of the flywheel, getting all the dust and everything, fingerprints and everything off it. So these are definitely a set of bolts that you want to torque and to get it right. Don't want your flywheel loosening up while you're running. That would be probably a literal nightmare. This is not a high RPM car, so I'm not worried about the flywheel flying off and cutting a leg or anything like that, or coming up through the floor. I know on cars that are high RPM or drag race cars, you need to consider that. You need to have a scatter shield and all that fun stuff. But I think for this application, from this just being kind of a street rod, the bell housing's fine. I'm not really worried about that. I don't ever see myself revving this car past 4,000 RPMs. That would be probably more than I ever want to hear it run. So here's round 2 of putting the bell housing back on to do the run out. Got a better setup this time. Got the flywheel on, as you saw. And I'm going to modify the stalk that holds the dial indicator. Excuse me. In order to get it to fit inside the bell housing so I can get better numbers. Yeah, so here I'm just getting a rough estimate for where to cut the main post on the magnetic base. We're going to make that fit. We're going to make that fit inside so we can get a good bite on the flywheel and get a proper reading. So remember, one of the rules of thumb is if you're going to ruin a tool by cutting it to make it work, make sure you file the edges and clean all the adhesive off so it looks really nice when you're done. I think every time I've tried to do this, I've forgotten to take the spark plugs out. If you're going to do it with the plugs in, you're just going to be fighting it. Just take the time to take them out, and it should rotate a lot easier. So I found a simpler method. I know there's a name. I don't know what the name is off the top of my head. Basically, spin the dial indicator around once and make sure it comes back to 0. That's step 1. Make sure you don't go past 0 like I just did right there. Yeah, when you're doing this by yourself, you want to check it constantly because now I got to bring it all the way back around. But you want it to go back to 0. I don't know why. That's how the tool works. That's like the same rule no matter what method you use. So here, this 0 is out pretty good. And I was happy with it once I get it lined up here. There we go. And then from here, you want to get somebody else to spin it, and you want to watch the dial, and you want to mark where the worst spot is. So plus 35 thousandths. And then you want to put that back at 0, and then you want to spin it halfway, measure that, take that number, and divide it by 2. So I think I got like 17.5 thousandths. So I'm using the 14 offset dowels, putting them in according to which way I need to move the bore hole in the bell housing and getting it to line up. I got it down to about 10 thousandths. I couldn't get it down to under 5. Here you can see which way the shiny line on the pin is pointing. Where is it? There it is. See it? So that's the way it's pointing to move it back. Like I said, I got it down to about 10 thousandths, and that's the best I could do. So I'm happy with that. For the equipment I'm running, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I'm sure other people are going to have problems with it. Oh well. If it breaks, guess who's paying for it? Not you. once I got these all snugged up pretty decently, I torqued these pressure plate bolts down. I want to say 25 pounds. Yeah, I think it was 25 pounds on that. They don't need to be crazy tight. I also put a little thread locker on them. Just another thing. It's on a moving assembly. You don't really want it backing out as it heats up and cools down or speeds up and slows down. So this is good progress. Getting all this on, getting it all on permanently. I'm very happy about this. I stalled out pretty hard trying to do the run out. And to be honest, I'm not even 100% sure I got it right. I think I got it as close as I'm ever going to get it. And it's, you know, if it's about 10, 11,000, that's a lot better than 35,000. So even though I might not have nailed it to where I need it, I got it a lot better. And that's, I don't know, that's good enough for me. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. This is just part of the journey of me figuring out how to put together a hot rod engine. I'm not a professional mechanic by any means, so, you know, take it all with a grain of salt. I try and do stuff safe and get it to the best that I can, and maybe one day we'll actually have a vehicle that runs, but don't hold your breath. All right, see you next time.